Peace and greetings, family. Welcome back to another session of Truth and Overstanding. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful scrolls written by Dr. Malachi York, titled, Let's Set the Record Straight, an excerpt from the Nuwaupian Sacred Records of Moors. This is scroll number 360, a study book for the United Nuwaupian Nation of Moors. And trust me, this scroll is not just another book on history. This is a revelation that tears down the walls of falsehood, exposing the deceptions we've been fed and returning us to who and what we really are. Let's start right here with identity. For generations, we've been told we are Negroes, Blacks, Coloreds, or African Americans. But Dr. Malachi York made it clear, these are labels created to keep us disconnected from our divine origins. The scroll sets the record straight by reminding us that we are Moors, not Moors in the limited sense that European historians define, dark-skinned Muslims who ruled Spain. No, the Moor is the Nubian, the Egyptian, the Kushite, the original man and woman who carried science, mathematics, medicine, and spirituality from the Nile Valley into Europe and across the world. And here's the hidden truth. When mainstream history talks about the Moors in Spain, they only give you a fragment. They don't tell you that those Moors were the descendants of the same Nubians who built pyramids, charted the stars, and crafted the sciences that we call civilization today. That's what this scroll restores, the wholeness of the story. Now let's look deeper. The scroll explains that religion as we know it today is borrowed, remixed, and stripped from Moorish and Egyptian sciences. Christianity, Islam, and even Judaism, they all took from the Nile Valley traditions. The cross, the crescent, the rituals, even the concept of one God, all of it has roots in the Egyptian and Nubian systems. Yet mainstream religion erases the source, leaving us to worship the fragments instead of reclaiming the science behind it. That's not a coincidence. That's design. Think about this. The Nuwaupian script you see on the cover of this scroll isn't just decoration. It is a living language, a sacred tool to reawaken memory encoded in our DNA. When you see those symbols, they work on your subconscious, reminding you of who you were before the miseducation. That's why it feels familiar, even if you can't read it yet. Mainstream scholars dismiss it, but in truth, it's a technology for awakening. Another key teaching in this scroll is about land. The scroll makes it plain that Moors are not only tied to Africa, but also to the Americas. That's right, the indigenous people here, long before Columbus, were of Moorish descent. The Yamassee, the Washitaw, the Olmecs, all connected to the same Nubian bloodline. This is powerful because it corrects two distortions at once. First, that black people only arrived in America as slaves. And second, that the so-called Native American history is separate from African history. The truth is, they're one and the same, and the Moors stand at that center. Now, let me pause here because this is important. If you take this seriously, you realize that black in America is not a minority with no land and no nation. You realize we are the indigenous, the original, with legal and spiritual ties to both Africa and the Americas. That's a game changer. That's why the scroll says, let's set the record straight. Because as long as we live by labels created by others, we stay in their story. But once we reclaim Moorish identity, we return to our own. The scroll also breaks down symbols, and you've seen them. The ankh, the winged sun, the crescent, the six-pointed star. To the mainstream, these are just pretty designs, museum pieces. But in Nuwaupian teaching, these are living instruments of power. The ankh is not just a cross with a loop, it's the key of life, showing the balance of male and female. The winged sun is not just Egyptian artwork, it's a symbol of protection and ascension. The crescent and star is not simply Islam's badge, it's an ancient Nubian astronomical science. And the six-pointed star is not just Judaism's symbol, it's sacred geometry, the merging of the above and the below. Dr. York shows how all these pieces got scattered into religions and cultures, while the original science stayed with us, the Moors. Another layer this scroll touches is the idea of misinformation. Dr. York reveals how colonial powers, through education systems, intentionally rewrote history to erase the Moors. When you think about it, the school system barely touches Moorish history. They skip over the fact that Moors ruled Europe for hundreds of years, bringing in sanitation, science, and architecture. They skip the Yamassee and Washitaw presence in America. They skip Nubia's role in founding Egypt. They skip all the roots, leaving only branches that appear disconnected. That erasure is strategic, because if we don't know who we are, we remain controllable. Now, some of the most non-mainstream yet key information in this scroll deals with cosmic alignment. Dr. York doesn't just talk about history in terms of dates and events, he frames it cosmically. The Moors are tied to celestial order, to the Orion constellation, to Sirius, to cycles of time that mark ages of awakening. This isn't taught in universities, but in the scroll, it's central. Why? Because it connects our earthly history to the stars, reminding us that we are not just a people of land, but of the cosmos. Let's not forget law. In this scroll, Dr. York makes clear that calling yourself black or Negro is a legal trap. In law, these terms carry no national standing, but identifying as Moor places you in line with a nation, with treaties, with recognition. This is not common knowledge, but it's key because it shows how language has been used to strip us of power. Mainstream history won't tell you this, but the scroll sets it straight. And here's the heart of it. The scroll isn't just about correcting lies. It's about restoring balance. It's about returning us to supreme matrilineal and patriarchal order, to the harmony of family, community, nation, and spirit. It tells us we are not lost people trying to find an identity. We already have one. We are Moors, Nuwaupians, descendants of the first. The real question is whether we're ready to accept it. So as you sit with this, remember, history is not just what happened. History is what you accept as your story. And this scroll gives us the power to take back that story, to correct the lies, and to set the record straight once and for all. If you want to go deeper, I highly recommend you get a copy of Let's Set the Record Straight. It's available at eoebookstore.com in both digital and print editions. Read it, study it, and share it. Because the more of us who reclaim our true identity, the faster we break free from the spell of falsehood. This has been today's session of Truth and Upliftment. Until next time, family, stay strong, stay awakened, and remember, the record has already been set straight. The only question is, are you ready to live by it? Got a question or a thought to share? Drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you and keep the discussion going. This video is sponsored by aeoebookstore.com, the largest selection of books authored by Dr. Malachi York. Go check them out today and support the movement.